Arsenio Esposito didn't build his empire by missing details. The kind of details that kept men alive, or got them killed. So when Beverly Brooks reached across his mahogany desk to pour his morning espresso, he noticed the way her sleeve rode up. The mottled purple-black bruises circling her delicate brown wrist like ugly jewelry. The way she flinched when the fabric touched her skin. The micro-expression of pure terror that flashed across her beautiful face before she could mask it with professionalism. Most men would have looked away. Arsenio Esposito wasn't most men. His granite-cut features remained impassive as he accepted the cup, his steel-gray eyes tracking every nervous movement. Beverly kept her gaze down, her natural hair pulled back severely, her uniform immaculate despite clearly hiding damage underneath. She moved like someone expecting a blow. Someone had put hands on her. Someone had marked what was his to protect. Beverly murmured a soft "sir" and retreated quickly, practically fleeing his study. Arsenio set down his espresso untouched. His jaw tightened imperceptibly. In his world, there were rules. Codes. And the most sacred? You protected what was yours. Someone was about to learn that lesson the hard way. The moment Beverly's footsteps faded, Arsenio's phone was in his hand. First call, Vincent Russo, his head of security, former Marine, the man who asked no questions and delivered only results. The maid, Beverly Brooks. Someone's hurting her. I want a name, background, every person in her life. 24 hours. Vincent knew that tone. Someone was about to suffer. Understood, boss. Second call, Alderman Marcus Webb, a city official on Arsenio's payroll. I need city records. Contractors working the South Loop District. Cross-reference with code violations, restraining orders, domestic disturbance calls. 48 hours. Webb stammered nervously. That's a lot of data. Then don't raise flags. You're resourceful, Marcus. That's why I pay you. Arsenio leaned back in his leather chair, fingers steepled. In his world, information was the first weapon. Violence was merely punctuation. He hadn't clawed his way from Brooklyn to Chicago's underworld throne by being reckless. Every move calculated. Every consequence predicted. Beverly didn't know it yet, but her nightmare was ending. Someone else's was beginning. By 6 p.m., his phone buzzed. Vincent, preliminary report. Delivering in person. 20 minutes. Vincent arrived precisely on time, carrying a thin folder. He placed it on Arsenio's desk like a death warrant. Beverly's been private, but building cameras don't lie. She's seeing someone, Marcus D'Angelo, 38, city contractor. Infrastructure projects. Been visiting her apartment about 5 months. Background? Clean record. Too clean. The kind that comes from connections, not character. Arsenio studied the photograph. Marcus D'Angelo, handsome, polished, the type who charmed easily before revealing the monster beneath. Company name? D'Angelo Construction. Medium-sized, about 40 employees. Mostly city contract work. Vincent paused meaningfully. Almost exclusively city contracts. Which means political protection. Exactly. That level of consistent municipal work requires serious juice. Arsenio memorized D'Angelo's face. This man had touched Beverly. Had hurt her. Had left fear in her eyes. Keep digging. I want everything. Who protects him? Why? Financial records, past relationships, vulnerabilities. And if he approaches Beverly again before we have the full picture? Arsenio's expression went arctic. 2 men on her building. Discreet surveillance. If D'Angelo shows up drunk or aggressive, they intervene. No injuries, just make him nervous. Make him feel pressure without knowing where it's coming from. Subtle intimidation. Exactly. When I move against him, I want total destruction. The kind that sends a message citywide. Arsenio closed the folder. He needs to understand it was Beverly Brooks, a woman he thought was nothing, who brought his world down. After Vincent left, Arsenio sat alone with D'Angelo's photograph. Found you. Now let's see who's protecting you. And then let's take it all away. Vincent delivered the full report at 8 p.m. the next evening, spreading documents across Arsenio's desk like evidence of systematic evil. Marcus D'Angelo is a professional predator, Vincent began. D'Angelo Construction was founded 8 years ago with capital from shell companies. The business model: secure city contracts through political connections, mediocre work, inflated prices. Standard corruption, Arsenio observed. But his connections run deeper. Vincent pulled out a photograph of an older man in an expensive suit. State Senator Thomas Carbone. Anti-corruption crusader publicly. Thoroughly corrupt privately. Chairs the Infrastructure Committee. D'Angelo's 120 contracts worth $18 million, all approved by Carbone. In exchange for? Money laundering through construction projects. Kickbacks disguised as consulting fees. And this. Vincent pushed forward 3 photographs of young women. Meet D'Angelo's previous victims. Arsenio's hands curled into fists. Jennifer Martinez, dated D'Angelo 3 years ago. Filed a police report after he broke her jaw. Withdrew it 72 hours later, moved to LA, won't talk about it. Carbone made it disappear. Exactly. Second, Amanda Washington. Filed a restraining order after he hospitalized her with broken ribs. Order was dismissed by a judge who received $50,000 from Carbone's PAC. Amanda married quickly for protection and refuses to discuss him. And the third? Vincent's voice dropped. Jessica Chen. 27. Filed charges with photographic evidence after he fractured her skull. She was determined to prosecute. She died in a car accident 9 weeks later. Brake lines cut. Investigation closed within a week, ruled driver error. The study went silent. They killed her, Arsenio said flatly. They killed her. Made it look accidental. The detective who tried to investigate was transferred to a desk job. Arsenio stood, walking to the window overlooking Chicago. D'Angelo targets vulnerable women, immigrants, working class, isolated. Women without powerful connections. He uses violence. Carbone uses political power to silence them. Together, they've perfected it. Beverly fits the pattern perfectly. Black woman, works as a maid, no powerful family. He thought she was invisible. He didn't know she worked for me. Arsenio turned, his eyes like winter storms. I don't want D'Angelo beaten or disappeared. I want him destroyed publicly, thoroughly, completely. I want him in prison understanding it was Beverly, a woman he thought was nothing, who ended him. And Carbone? Arsenio pulled out a thick red folder marked, Carbone. I've been collecting insurance on powerful people for 20 years. Carbone's been useful. But he crossed a line protecting a predator who hurt what's mine. He opened the folder, offshore accounts, kickbacks, harassment settlements, mistress documentation. Time to collect old debts. We exposed them both simultaneously. Remove Carbone's protection, and D'Angelo's just another criminal without cover. Vincent smiled grimly. The system destroys them for you. Exactly. I remove the umbrella and let the storm have them both. Arsenio convened his inner circle at 2 a.m. in his secure conference room. Vincent, security; Marco, finances; Julia, political intelligence; and Father Benedetto, his conscience. "We're not killing anyone," Arsenio stated immediately. "This requires surgical precision, not violence." Marco raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you show restraint?" "Since I want D'Angelo suffering in prison for decades, not dead in an alley. I want him understanding every day that Beverly Brooks destroyed him." Arsenio spread files across the table. "D'Angelo's protected by Carbone. We expose them simultaneously before either can help the other." "Timeline?" Julia asked. "This week. Beverly sleeps in fear tonight. By Sunday, she's safe." Marco consulted his tablet. "D'Angelo's barely solvent. Survives on city contracts, all from Carbone's committee. Without those, bankrupt in 90 days. Perfect. Real crimes we can document? Plenty. Tax evasion, fraudulent billing, ghost invoicing, off-books payments. I need 48 hours to compile everything, but the evidence exists. He's been sloppy because he never feared consequences." Arsenio turned to Julia. "Carbone's vulnerabilities?" "Offshore accounts in the Caymans, 6.2 million. Panama accounts, another 3 million. Kickbacks from 14 contractors. 3 sexual harassment settlements paid from campaign funds. His wife doesn't know about the River North apartment where he keeps his 28-year-old mistress, Elena Rossi. Will Elena cooperate? If she feels protected, absolutely. She's documented everything, photos, texts, recordings where he discusses making investigations disappear." "Excellent." Arsenio's mind worked through the strategy. "Here's the play, Marco. Compile D'Angelo's financial crimes. Package it like an anonymous whistleblower sending evidence to FinCEN. Julia, package Carbone's corruption for Chicago Tribune's investigative team. Both deliver Friday morning, 6 a.m., simultaneously. So neither can protect the other," Marco observed. "Exactly. Carbone wakes to headlines about his corruption. D'Angelo wakes to federal agents raiding his office. Then we wait 24 hours for prosecutors to start building cases. Saturday, we release documentation of D'Angelo's previous victims, police reports, hospital records. The pattern becomes undeniable. Women who were too afraid before will suddenly feel brave enough to testify." Father Benedetto spoke quietly. "Why not simply extract Beverly? New city, new identity? Because D'Angelo will find another Beverly. The system stays broken. Someone has to fix it." Arsenio's voice was firm. "Everything I'm planning exposes real crimes, real evidence. I'm not framing innocent men. I'm revealing guilty ones and letting legitimate justice function." The priest nodded slowly. "Then you have my blessing." Arsenio stewed. "Vincent, protection on Beverly starts at 6 a.m. Marco and Julia, 72 hours to prepare evidence packages. By Sunday night, D'Angelo's in custody, Carbone's career is destroyed, and Beverly sleeps safely." They raised their glasses. "To justice," Arsenio said quietly. The kind the powerful thought they'd escaped. "To justice." Thursday morning, Arsenio made a surprising call. "Senator Carbone. Arsenio Esposito. We need to meet. Today. 1 hour. Navy Pier, end of the dock. Come alone." Carbone's voice was smooth, political. "That sounds dramatic." "It is." An hour later, Arsenio stood at the pier's end, Lake Michigan's cold wind whipping around him. Carbone arrived precisely on time, expensive coat, perfect hair, radiating political authority. Arsenio. Carbone extended his hand. Beautiful day, though the secrecy is intriguing. Arsenio didn't take the hand. Instead, he held out a thin folder. Read this first. Carbone opened it. His face went pale. Inside, photographs of his mistress's apartment. Cayman bank statements. Harassment settlement records. Kickback documentation. His entire corruption, comprehensively documented. Jesus Christ. He's not here to help you. Arsenio's voice was ice. That's real evidence, Thomas. Any one of those files ends your career. Altogether? 20 years federal prison. What do you want? Marcus D'Angelo. Confusion. The contractor? What about him? He's beating a woman. My employee, Beverly Brooks. I want him destroyed. Completely. Publicly. And I want you to do it. Carbone actually laughed. You have all this leverage and you're using it over a contractor and a maid? Arsenio's expression didn't change. Deadly serious. The laughter died. Arsenio, I've protected D'Angelo for years. Here's what happens. Tomorrow at 6 a.m., FinCEN receives anonymous evidence of D'Angelo's financial crimes. Instead of making it disappear like usual, you let it proceed. You publicly distance yourself. Express shock. Call for investigation. If I do that, every contractor I protect will panic. Not my problem. Steel in Arsenio's voice. You sacrifice one pawn to save your entire board. D'Angelo goes down hard. You survive, damaged, but alive. Your marriage stays intact. Your career continues. You stay free. And if I refuse? Arsenio showed his phone, a draft email to every news outlet, attachments ready. Then everything reaches every prosecutor, every journalist by tonight. By tomorrow, you're the lead story everywhere. Your wife knows about Elena. Your party abandons you. Your career ends in handcuffs. Silence except for wind and water. You're doing all this for a maid? I'm doing this because D'Angelo touched what's mine and thought there'd be no consequences. Because men like him count on men like you to shield them. Because vulnerable women deserve justice even when systems fail. Arsenio turned to leave. You have until 6 a.m. tomorrow, Thomas. Sacrifice D'Angelo and cooperate, or protect him and go down together. Either way, his protection ends tomorrow. He walked away, leaving Carbone alone with a folder containing his own destruction, facing an impossible choice. Behind him, Vincent emerged from surveillance. Think he'll cooperate? Doesn't matter. Either way, by Sunday, D'Angelo's in custody and Carbone's career is over. Friday morning broke over Chicago like Judgment Day. 6:02 a.m., FinCEN received an anonymous email containing 47 pages of forensic evidence documenting D'Angelo Construction's financial crimes. The analyst who opened it immediately escalated, "This is prosecutable. Multiple federal violations." 6:08 a.m., Chicago Tribune investigative journalist Marcus Washington found encrypted files documenting Senator Carbone's offshore accounts, kickback schemes, and harassment settlements. By 6:30 a.m., he was calling his editor, "I've got Carbone. Finally. It's Pulitzer level." 7:42 a.m., federal agents executed search warrants at D'Angelo Construction. 23 agents, forensic accountants, computer specialists. Television cameras captured everything. Marcus D'Angelo arrived at 8:15 a.m. to find his office being dismantled, accounts frozen, files seized. What the hell is happening? I have rights. I have lawyers. You have the right to remain silent, the lead agent said calmly. Call those lawyers. You'll need them. 9 a.m. Senator Carbone's phone had been ringing non-stop. The Tribune's website screamed, Senator Carbone's secret millions, offshore accounts, kickbacks, and systematic corruption exposed. His party leadership called, hold a press conference. 9:30. Announce your resignation. Cooperate completely. Those are your only options. 9:30 a.m., Carbone stood before cameras, looking defeated. I am announcing my immediate resignation from the Illinois State Senate. I am shocked by allegations regarding Marcus D'Angelo. I call for full investigation and will cooperate completely. His 30-year political career ended in disgrace. 10:30 a.m., women started coming forward. Jennifer Martinez called the FBI from Los Angeles, I want to file charges now. Amanda Washington arrived at the state's attorney's office, Marcus D'Angelo assaulted me. I have evidence. I'll testify. Rachel Chen, Jessica's sister, walked into FBI offices carrying a box. My sister was murdered trying to stop D'Angelo. I've been collecting evidence for 14 months. I think you'll listen now. The dam broke. The protection was gone. 2 p.m., Marcus D'Angelo was arrested at his apartment, drunk, disheveled, screaming about his rights, about Carbone, about mistakes. The cameras captured everything. By evening, the story dominated every news cycle. Chicago was shaken. Social media exploded. Reform advocates called for systemic change. Arsenio watched from his penthouse, multiple screens showing the controlled demolition. It's working perfectly, Vincent observed. D'Angelo facing multiple charges, can't make bail. Carbone's career destroyed, wife filed for divorce, mistress giving interviews. And the pattern? 4 women have come forward. More expected. Prosecutors talking 25 years minimum. Arsenio's phone buzzed. Julia, 4th woman testified. D'Angelo facing 25 to 30 years. Good. Prepare Beverly's support package. New apartment ready by next weekend. Job offer with full benefits. She decides her future now. Outside, Chicago buzzed with scandal and justice. Inside, Arsenio drank to power used for protection, not profit. The shadows had delivered accountability. Monday morning, Beverly entered Arsenio's study, and everything about her had transformed. The fear was gone. Her shoulders were back, head high, moving with confidence. The bruises had faded to yellowish green. Healing. Beverly, please sit. She took the chair nervously, hands folded. I've been thinking about your employment. You're intelligent, organized, wasted on basic housekeeping. Mrs. Calabria retires next month. I'd like to offer you her position, head housekeeper. Management responsibilities, 40% salary increase, full benefits. He slid an envelope across. Details are here. Beverly stared at it, trembling. I don't understand. Why? Because you're valuable. Because everyone deserves safety, opportunity, dignity. And because I've built an empire on power, it's rare I get to use it for something genuinely good. He slid a second, thicker envelope. Mrs. Calabria mentioned you've been apartment hunting. Consider this in advance. First month, last month, security deposit. Your choice of location. Beverly's hands shook as tears fell. I saw the news. About Marcus. Terrible business. Corruption and abuse finally exposed. Beverly wasn't foolish. She looked at him, understanding passing between them. I need to know if I'm working for a man who sees people like me. Really sees us as worthy of protection. Arsenio walked to the window. Everyone under this roof, they're mine to protect. That's not negotiable. Not conditional. He turned. You're not just a maid, Beverly. You never were. She nodded, accepting the non-answer that answered everything. I start the new position Monday. As she left, she paused. Sir? Thank you. For seeing me. Later, Mrs. Calabria found Beverly packing. One moment, dear. She handed Beverly a small velvet box. Inside, a key. Your new apartment. Mr. Esposito wanted you truly safe. 24-hour security, doorman service. He's paid the first year through a charitable foundation. Beverly's eyes filled with tears. This is too much. It's not. It's exactly what's needed. Mrs. Calabria squeezed her hand. Arsenio Esposito is many things, dangerous, ruthless, feared. But he takes care of his people. Always. You're his people now. That evening, Beverly visited Arsenio's study one final time as his maid. I heard about the apartment. It's too much. It's practical. My head housekeeper needs a safe neighborhood. Is that all? My father said power without purpose is just noise. For too long, I used mine for profit, territory, fear. He stood. You reminded me that sometimes the greatest power is making one person feel safe enough to sleep. Beverly crossed the room and hugged him briefly, fiercely. Arsenio froze, then gently, awkwardly patted her back. Thank you for giving me my life back. When she pulled away, she was smiling, radiantly, genuinely happy. Get some rest this weekend. Monday, you start managing this chaos. As she left, Arsenio realized, destroying D'Angelo brought satisfaction. But watching Beverly reclaim herself? That brought peace. 2 weeks later, Beverly returned with his morning espresso, transformed. She moved with confidence now, shoulders back, the fear completely gone. She'd found her Lincoln Park apartment, enrolled in evening business courses. The papers are covering Marcus's trial. 4 more women testified yesterday. They're saying 30 years now. Justice catching up, Arsenio said simply. Beverly remained standing. One woman, Chiara Rodriguez, gave an interview. She said she was too afraid before because Marcus had powerful friends. But then everything changed overnight. Like someone systematically removed all his protection. She paused, watching him carefully. The reporter asked who she thought orchestrated it. She said she didn't know and didn't need to know. She just knew someone with serious resources saw what was happening and decided to burn Marcus's world down to protect women like her. Like us. Arsenio sipped his espresso, expression unreadable. She said whoever did it gave her back something she thought was lost forever. Hope. Safety. The belief that someone cared. Beverly's voice trembled. I feel the same way, Mr. Esposito. I don't need to know exactly how everything happened. But I need you to know I understand. And I'm grateful, not just for the job and apartment, but for seeing me. For caring when I thought I was invisible. Every life has value, Beverly. Every person deserves safety and dignity. Arsenio stewed. The systems meant to protect everyone failed. Someone had to address that failure. You forced accountability when no one else would. I revealed truth that was being hidden. What happened after investigations, arrests, women finding courage to testify, that was legitimate justice finally functioning without obstruction. Beverly nodded. Most powerful people use power for themselves. You used yours to protect. To heal. To force justice when systems failed. That's righteousness, Mr. Esposito. That's using influence for genuine good. She stepped closer. I'm going to make you proud. In this position, in my education, in my life. Not just because I'm grateful, but because you've shown me I'm capable of more than I thought possible. That I deserve more than I believed. That my life has value worth protecting. Beverly smiled radiantly. Thank you for seeing me. For caring. For acting when no one else would. For giving me back my life and my future. I'll honor that gift by being the best version of myself possible. After she left, Arsenio sat alone in his study as evening darkness gathered. Beverly was safe, happy, building her future. Marcus D'Angelo was awaiting trial, facing 3 decades in prison. Senator Carbone faced multiple indictments, his career destroyed. And Arsenio Esposito had discovered something unexpected, that the greatest satisfaction came not from accumulating power but from using it righteously. He poured his father's favorite scotch and raised the glass to the painting of Saint Michael. I think you'd approve of this one, Papa. Power used righteously. For protection. For justice. Outside, Chicago moved through Friday evening, millions of lives, most invisible. But not all. Not anymore. Friday evening, 3 weeks later, marked Beverly's last day before officially transitioning to head housekeeper. Mrs. Calabria had trained her meticulously: management systems, vendor relationships, staff protocols, budget administration. Beverly absorbed everything with focused intensity. Mrs. Calabria found her packing. Beverly, dear. One moment. She handed her the velvet box with the apartment key. Your new home. Mr. Esposito wanted you truly safe. The building has excellent security, doorman service. He's paid the first year. Beverly's eyes filled with tears. I can't accept. You can. You will. Mrs. Calabria patted her hand. Arsenio Esposito is dangerous, ruthless, feared. But he takes care of his people. Always. You're his people now. That evening, Beverly entered Arsenio's study one final time as his maid. I heard about the apartment. It's too much. It's practical. My head housekeeper needs a safe neighborhood. Is that all? Arsenio considered her. My father said power without purpose is just noise. For too long, I used mine for profit, territory, fear. You reminded me that sometimes the greatest power is making one person feel safe enough to sleep. Beverly crossed the room and hugged him briefly, fiercely. Arsenio froze, then gently patted her back. Thank you for giving me my life back. She pulled away, smiling radiantly. I'm going to make you proud. Not just because I'm grateful, but because you've shown me I'm capable of more than I thought possible. That I deserve more than I believed. That my life has value worth protecting and cultivating. Beverly held the velvet box to her chest. This key represents more than a safe place. It represents agency. Choice. The ability to build a future on my own terms without fear. That's what you've given me, not just material support, but hope. Dignity. The understanding that I matter. After she left, Arsenio sat alone as darkness gathered. Beverly was safe, happy, building a future with confidence, replacing fear. Marcus D'Angelo was in county jail facing 25 to 30 years. Senator Carbone faced federal indictments, his career destroyed, his reputation ruined. And Arsenio Esposito, a complicated, morally gray man who'd built an empire on violence, had discovered that sometimes the greatest satisfaction came not from accumulating power but from using it righteously. He poured his father's favorite scotch and raised it to the painting of Saint Michael driving demons from heaven. I think you'd approve of this one, Papa. Not everything I do. Not most of what I do. But this? Protecting Beverly, destroying those predators, forcing accountability when systems failed? I think you'd say this was power used righteously. Outside, Chicago moved through its Friday evening, millions of lives, millions of stories, most invisible to those who wielded real power. But not all invisible. Not anymore. Because someone was watching. Someone with resources and will and understanding that power carried moral obligations. The shadows had chosen a side. Beverly Brooks was safe. That was enough. That was everything. 3 months later, winter settling over Chicago, Vincent entered Arsenio's study without knocking. We have a situation. 2 situations. Both women being systematically abused by men with institutional protection. Arsenio looked up sharply. Explain. Vincent placed 2 folders on the desk. Maria Santos, 29, waitress. Her ex-husband, Lieutenant James Morrison with Chicago PD, has violated restraining orders 14 times. CPD won't enforce because Morrison's one of them, decorated veteran with union protection. Arsenio opened the first folder, scanning documentation. Police reports going nowhere. Restraining orders ignored. Photographs of Maria with injuries. Institutional failure protecting a woman because the abuser wore a badge. Second case? Elena Vasquez, 22, Northwestern biochemistry student. Her professor, Dr. Richard Hastings, demands sexual favors for grades. Threatens to destroy her academic career if she refuses. 3 previous complaints mysteriously disappeared. Hastings has tenure, research funding, administrative connections. Arsenio reviewed the evidence, threatening texts, emails, documentation of buried complaints. Predation enabled by institutional protection and power differential. Both women heard stories, Vincent continued carefully. Rumors after what happened to D'Angelo and Carbone. Stories about someone powerful who protects vulnerable women when systems fail. Someone who forces accountability. They're asking for help. They're hoping the stories are true. Arsenio stared at both folders, his mind calculating strategies, resources, consequences. Maria Santos first, he decided. We document the next restraining order violation so comprehensively that internal affairs can't ignore it. Video, audio, witnesses. Then we ensure it reaches Justice Department Civil Rights Division, local media, police accountability organizations. We expose the systemic failure protecting him. And Dr. Hastings? Tenure doesn't protect against Title IX violations or systematic abuse. We document everything, communications, threats, pattern with multiple victims. We resurrect the buried complaints. We find every woman he's hurt and offer coordinated legal representation, protection from retaliation. Then we bring it all down simultaneously, federal investigation, civil lawsuits, media exposure. Vincent nodded. You're doing it again. Using resources to force accountability when systems fail. Someone has to. Police, universities, courts, they're corrupted by institutional loyalty and connections that shield predators. If I have resources to expose that corruption, to force legitimate justice, how can I not use them? Arsenio stood, walking to his windows. Beverly changed something in me. Revealed that power without purpose is just noise. That accumulating wealth and control means nothing if you're not making the world marginally less terrible for people who can't protect themselves. This is becoming bigger than Beverly. You're building a reputation. Women throughout Chicago will hear these stories and hope for protection. Good. Let them hope. Let them know someone's watching for institutional failure. Let predators with badges and tenure understand protection isn't absolute. After Vincent left, Arsenio remained alone, thinking about Beverly thriving, about Maria and Elena suffering, about his father's insistence that power carried responsibilities. He'd found his purpose. Not building empire. Not accumulating wealth. But standing guard in the darkness between legitimate justice and injustice. The shadows had chosen a side. And they would keep choosing it. The end.